Usermiate Sekopiraner Ramesses v also written Ramses, and Ramesses was the fourth pharaoh of the 20th dynasty of Egypt, and was the son of Ramesses IV and Duantantopt. His mummy is now on display at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Cairo. Pharaoh. Reign. 1149-1145 BC. Predecessor. Ramesses IV. Successor. Ramesses V. Consort. Hanutwati and Taratenru. Father. Ramesses IV. Mother. Duantantopt. Died. 1145 BC. Burial. KV9. Mummy found in the KV35 Royal Cache, Theban Necropolis. Dynasty. 20th Dynasty. Ramesses V's reign was characterized by the continued growth of the power of the priesthood of Amun, which controlled much of the temple land in the country, and the state finances, at the expense of the ruling pharaohs. The Turin 1887 papyrus records a financial scandal during Ramesses' reign that involved the priests of Elephantine. A period of domestic instability also afflicted his reign, as evidenced by the fact that, according to the Turin Papyrus Cat. 2044, the workmen of Deir el-Medina periodically stopped work on Ramesses V's KV9 tomb in this king's first regnal year, out of fear of the enemy, presumably Libyan raiding parties, who had reached the town of Per-Nebet and burnt its people. Another incursion by these raiders into Thebes is recorded a few days later. This shows that the Egyptian state was having difficulties ensuring the security of its own elite tomb workers, let alone the general populace, during this troubled time. The Wilbur Papyrus, believed to date to year 4 of Ramesses V's reign, was a major land survey and tax assessment document which covered various lands, extending from near Crocodilopolis Medinet El Fayum southwards to a little short of the modern town of El Minya, a distance of some 90 miles. It reveals most of Egypt's land was controlled by the Amun temples, which also directed the country's finances. The document highlights the increasing power of the high priest of Amun, Ramsesnacht, whose son, a certain Usermiate, held the office of chief taxmaster. The circumstances of Ramesses V's death are unknown, but it is known he had a reign of almost 4 full years. He died in his 4th regnal year. On the time interval between the 1st and 2nd month of Perit and Ostrakhan records that this king was only buried in year 2 of Ramesses VI, his successor, which was highly irregular, since Egyptian tradition required a king to be mummified and buried precisely 70 days into the reign of his successor. However, another reason for the much delayed burial of Ramesses V in year 2, 2nd month of Akhet, day 1 of Ramesses VI's reign, CKRI. VI 343 may have been connected with Ramesses VI's need to clear out any Libyan invaders from Thebes and to provide a temporary tomb for Ramesses V until plans for a double burial within tomb KV9 could be put into effect. Moreover, a Theban work journal P. Turin, 1923 dated to year 2 of Ramesses VI's reign, shows that a period of normality had returned to the Theban West Bank by this time. The mummy of Ramesses V was recovered in 1898 and seems to indicate that he suffered and subsequently died from smallpox due to lesions found on his face. He was thought to be one of the earliest known victims of the disease. While a 2016 discovery has found that the shared ancestral form of smallpox dates back to 1580 AD, this study merely indicates that the strains of smallpox circulating at the time of smallpox eradication had a common ancestor in the late 16th century, specifically that the Varv lineages eradicated during the 20th century had only been in existence for 200 years, at a time of rapidly expanding human movement and population size in the face of increasingly widespread inoculation and vaccination. Indeed, they say merely about ancient cases of smallpox, that, if they were indeed due to smallpox, these early cases were caused by virus lineages that were no longer circulating at the point of eradication in the 1970s. The advent of vaccination, or variolation in China and Japan during the Middle Ages, could have altered the relative presence of smallpox strains and diminished the presence of ancient strains, A 2015 review summarizing recent research into the question of smallpox evolution and divergence from its common ancestors suggests it is most likely that smallpox evolved 3,000 to 4,000 years ago in East Africa or India, which is not inherently contradicted by the study described, the latter of which contains descriptions of smallpox from before the 1st century at least. Finally, another genomic analysis places the evolution of smallpox at 16,000 years before present and mentions Ramses V. If the pustular eruption of Ramses V was from smallpox, it could represent a smallpox outbreak from imported cases, rather than regional endemic disease. This hypothesis is supported by the fact that only 3 mummies in that period had similar lesions.